And welcome into the Gaming Discourse. I'm Tyler Frater alongside Richard De La Cruz and Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Hello.
It is Monday, March 27th, 2023. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse, where we post videos. Patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse, where you can support us for $2, $4, $7, or $10. You can get early access to videos, access to our Discord server, more stuff. I am working on a new video at the moment. It's about Scorn. I talked about it yesterday or last week, but I got most of the script done. And it may be done by the end of this week. I don't know.
You heard it here first. New video at the end of the week, folks.
Yeah, it's breaking news.
Making promises.
I really enjoyed Scorn. If you saw a lot of the reviews when the game came out, you may have heard about the checkpoints of the bad combat, and those things are definitely bad. But Scorn's art style, with the story of Scorn, I think is really, really good. And I'm really hoping that they do that Ebb Software, whatever they do next, they do something like this again. I'm hoping they're still open. Game studios close, shut down and open so often that
all the time.
When you hear about a studio making one game and the game isn't that great, you're like, oh geez.
Yeah.
Or the game, I don't know how well it's sold. So hopefully they'll be able, they have enough funding, whatever, that they can go on and make it something else. But I would love for them to expand on it, because the ambiences in Scorn, and just some of the sound work is just phenomenal. So I would love to see more of that. And I think there's a lot more you can do. I really wish games would take, and they probably have, and I just haven't seen games do it more often, but I do wish games would take more cues from like certain art styles and art movements and
like
stuff
Giger?
like that. Well, not just like Giger, but just like surrealism in general, right?
Okay.
Like there was a game, like how would you make a surreal game? And sometimes it's theme, right? Or sometimes it's how the story progresses. But what about, like a painting, like, I don't know what it's called, but Salvador Dali has the painting of like the clocks that are melting
clocks.
Yeah, melting clocks, things like that. It's like, how could you develop an art style based around something like that? I think that could be cool, sort of using other art as inspiration behind those kinds of games. But yeah, Giger, Baczynski, there are other artists similar to Baczynski whose work is like really creepy and sort of otherworldly in a sense. And Baczynski has had sort of I don't know if you want to call it a renaissance. He's become in vogue because Returnal referenced. Returnal had some really similar stuff to Baczynski. I think I can remember the first week I played it, I came and I showed you a Baczynski painting. And I was like, this is straight from Returnal, straight from Returnal. And I guess The Medium had some landscapes that were similar to some of his work. I never played The Medium. That was the game by the people that made
Bluebird Team.
Bluebird Team, thank you. And then obviously Giger is in there, and with Alien everything.
Yeah,
that's at least the original Alien. But yeah, so video on that maybe by the end of this week, if not sometime next week. Connor, have you been playing anything except Marvel Snap?
I have.
Hey!
Yeah.
You can talk about Marvel Snap too.
I'm not going to now.
Okay.
I've been playing more Borrow Trauma.
Okay.
Which that game gets like atmospheric, really well done. Because you're in a submarine, so there's not a lot to see, so it doesn't show you anything. Except for what's inside the submarine, except for when you're on one of the periscopes for a gun. Then you get a very limited field of view that's illuminated by the light at the end of the periscope, because you're underwater on Europa. So, the sun is a long way away. You're under ice sheets, so there's no light underwater.
Which is creepy.
Yeah. And so you'll be, as you're maneuvering around, you'll get like sonar pings of stuff moving near you. And so if you swap over to one of the guns, you might be scanning and you just see something move just outside of your field of view, and then you're shitting yourself. But yeah, really, really good atmospheric feel to it. It can get a little, I will say, one-sided. It is a survival game. So sometimes you sail through the wrong area and suddenly your ship is full of monsters because they're just breaching your hull and you're sinking and sinking. There's more monsters coming in and all you have is a pistol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I assume you die in those circumstances.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If not by the monsters, by drowning.
Sure. Alrighty. Anything else?
Well, Marvel Snap, but I'm not talking about that.
You can if you want.
No,
I'm not going to
fuck
stop
you.
Okay. Richard.
Wow.
Things are getting heated. Skip. I don't know why I'm. Yeah.
This week is Resident Evil 4 week.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's
I've been
right.
playing that a lot, or as much as I can, and it's very, very exciting to be in a game to be playing a game that I am fairly intimately familiar with, but I don't know what's going to happen next, because they have changed just enough of the game to make me question things. And I think a lot of it has to do with how good the game looks. Of course, the RE engine is insane, but when obviously the village looks like the village at the very start. If you've never played Resident Evil 4, it's very village like. I feel like it's been 20 years now. Everyone should have played Resident Evil 4. But
Even
and
the
you've
newborns.
played Resident Evil 4 on VR. So, I mean, when I say the village, you know what the village looks like. At least I hope you remember. But
Yes, I do.
But it's after that. It's the next area where there's a barn and cows, and I get to this area and I have to stop and look around and tell myself, wait a minute, I know this place. I know exactly what I have to do here.
Okay.
But things are skewed ever so slightly that I am now kind of
Makes you hesitate a bit.
second guessing
Interesting.
everything.
Okay.
And there's been one new enemy so far that has never been in the Resident Evil games
cool.
that is in that area that I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal with this, which you deal with him like everything else.
Sure, it's not like impossible.
But I don't know his move sets. I don't know, you're still figuring out things because you now have an expanded move, to an extent, an expanded move set. So you have newer buttons to press at certain times, which is very, very helpful, but also kind of hindering because they don't, I don't think the game does a good job at weaning you into these new mechanics. There's really only one new mechanic, and it's a parry.
Yeah.
Which is very cool, but they didn't tell me how to parry until after the first chapter, which was weird. They didn't tell me how to do it like in the village fight, which was
weird.
Which
Because the
wasn't
demo tells you how to do it.
Yeah, and it never gave me the pop-up of how to do it until
Weird. Okay.
after the first chapter, which I had an inkling of how to do it because you see a very small flash happen in the corner, like L1 to do something. And I figure it might be before I get hit or something, but I never activated it until after the first chapter when it ends and you save and you go to the next chapter. It finally told me, and I was like, that's very weird. That's not intuitive for the player.
Okay.
So it might have told you in the demo because they realize it's a demo and they have to tell you everything right at the beginning.
Sure, that makes sense.
But something else that I find that's weird with Resident Evil 4 is its controls, which have bugged me for most of the game. I find myself aiming like I normally would at enemies. However, there are certain times, and I don't know what triggers it, where my aiming will snap to certain characters, like an auto aim. But it doesn't happen every time. It only happens certain times. And it's not like anything happening with my controller. It is literally aiming at a specific spot of characters. I just did the Mendez fight and in the barn. And there were times where it would just automatically like lock to his weak spot, which is helpful, but I'll do it on my own. Like, thanks. And I've already gone through the menus to try to figure out there's no specific lock on target like thing that I can turn off and on. And if there was, it's already off.
Okay.
There have been times where I'm aiming at enemies and I can't go below a very specific spot of their thigh. Like I just can't go any lower than that. which in Resident Evil you can go as low as you want.
Shoot zombies in the knees.
Go, yes, you can go as low as you want. And you can still shoot them in the knees at a certain distance, but if they're close enough, it won't let you go down further than a certain spot, which is weird because that is the go-to combo. You shoot them on the leg, you hit them. So those things trip me up a lot. And I find that because it's happening to me a lot, the game is now immensely harder because of it.
Oh no. Okay.
Because enemies are more aggressive in this version of Resident Evil 4. They're like way more aggressive. And I've noticed that. I've also noticed certain sections have become a little harder, and I don't know if it's because, once again, how new it feels and how it feels for me to go through this again, or if it's, I want to blame how the game is designed. There's the catapult area, right when you enter the castle, where they're just throwing catapults at you. You have to lead Ashley with yourself through that area. I must have died maybe 5 or 6 times in that area, which is unheard of. But there ended up being, after I turned the brightness up, way up, very obvious red barrels that I could shoot beforehand to get through it. But where I was and the brightness I had it on, which was close to normal, I was like, oh, this could have been a lot easier if I had noticed those in the first place, but I didn't. The frequency is different. It
sounds like a lot of weird miscellaneous things.
Yes, a lot of weird miscellaneous things that I don't think harms the overall package. Because still, like, bottom line, this is another absolutely remarkable remake of another beloved franchise, or entry in a franchise that adds and improves things as well, because you now have like your little attache case, your briefcase. You can attach keychains to them, which will do different things, like 30% more pitas, or you'll get more resources to combine weapons. There are new weapons as well. You do have side missions now, kind of. The merchant gives you like side missions throughout the game, which I love. The merchant, he has a new voice. It's still similar. He has a new voice, but he talks a little too much.
Oh no.
It's just in the original game, he doesn't talk. He's just, hey, how you doing, stranger? What do you want? But now he's like one of those, like, I'm trying to shop and he's just full blown trying to have conversations with me. And I'm like, let me do anything, man. Like, I'm gonna go. But they do,
one of those sales associates.
Yeah. But they do introduce like the shooting gallery, like way earlier.
Okay.
So you can get rewards to help you through the game. And I'm only, I think, halfway through, because I think there was like 14 chapters. I can't remember how many chapters in Resident Evil 4, but halfway through. Very excellent. Very, very, very good. When you shoot enemies down, you played the demo. So
yes,
when you shoot enemies, they'll start convulsing now, because that'll be like when they turn. And they didn't do that in the first game. And that's like, that's like, wow, that's cool. Like, now I can know if they have a Plagas in them that's gonna explode and try to kill me with their little. That was something I encountered last night. When you get hit, your recovery time is long, and enemies are able to hit you multiple times when you're still kind of recovering.
Really?
Yes. And that was annoying last night, because like the Plagas enemies will do like a spin, and it'll just, you can't even recover before they hit you again, and so you're kind of just stuck there, and it's very annoying sometimes when you're in that type of position. Anyways, I hope you get to play it soon. It's really good.
Okay. Capcom, for everything Capcom is, I think how they're treating Resident Evil is how series probably should be treated. Remakes, keeping the other ones afloat with HDs or whatever, or keeping them purchasable, whatever. And yeah, all the remakes. I did not play Resident Evil 3. I did not play that remake. I would like to one day. But the Resident Evil 2 remake was one of my favorite things ever. So yeah, and then obviously the Resident Evil 4 VR, one of the best VR games I've ever played. That wasn't necessarily a remake; it's just a sort of a conversion, full body conversion. I really haven't been playing a whole lot.
Slacker.
I already talked about Scorn. I went back
Yeah.
through Scorn and saw a few new things. I really can't get over some of the sights and some of the sounds in Scorn. Just some of the ambiences. It's really creepy, really cool. There's a portion of Scorn where you're going through a desert, and it's just mind blowing how good and how creepy this desert sounds. And you kind of see things in the distance. And when what Scorn does, one thing Scorn does really well is it melds its audio and visuals in a way where, if say like there's a couple times where you'll see through the dust and fog, you'll see a shape in the distance. So like, well, what's this? So you'll walk up to this shape, and then you meet the edge of a cliff, so you have to stop. But once you get to the edge of the cliff, you see this giant building or something emerge from the fog in the distance. And right as it emerges, you'll hear the soundtrack will just play like a boom, right? It'll time it up perfectly. So it's this really creepy where you see something out in the distance, you don't know what it is, but it's this like massive structure. They do that a couple times. But yeah, at the beginning of the game, there's a puzzle you can solve two different ways. Both are very creepy. But the second way, or at least the second way for me, is the much more creepier one, which I had not seen. Because I played through it twice, and I went back to the beginning to play the intro again, just to do the other way of solving this puzzle. And that way of solving the puzzle was much creepier. And yeah, I can't get over just how good the art direction is. But yeah, other than that, I want to get back to Hi-Fi Rush, but I just haven't had the time. I did play a little bit of the Diablo 4 beta, and it was fun. It felt like Diablo. Your dash is now an ability that has to recharge. So in Diablo 3, there was a dash button where you could dash.
That's right, there was, yeah.
On the PC, that wasn't there on the PC. It was only a console, as far as I remember. Yeah. Huh. At least when I played Diablo 3 on the PC, there wasn't a dash button. It was weird. But the button is there in Diablo 4, and it takes like 4 seconds to recharge or whatever. The story seems to be a little bit more. I don't remember the cutscenes much in Diablo 3, but this one, the camera will pan down, and there are camera angles inside of the world. So your story is not just the camera angle you use to play, but characters are like saying things.
Yes.
And then it cuts to a cutscene. Yeah. There are cutscenes, but every now and then when it's like an in-game cutscene, the camera sort of pans down, and you'll see something almost from the eye level of the people in the world. Yeah. Which is interesting because it tells it's a bit of a different way of telling a story. And yeah, the art direction in Diablo 4 is a little more quote unquote grounded, realistic, however you want to put it. It doesn't have sort of the toy, StarCrafty bright colors of Diablo 3. It kind of goes back to like the grittier Diablo 2-esque art direction, which is cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing it more once the game comes out. And I played as the druid, and it's cool because the druid turns into a bear, or one of their abilities is they turn into a bear. So they have this gigantic bear attack, which is neat. But yeah, I didn't play enough of it to really understand like the nuances of the builds for the druid or anything like that. And I think that's pretty much it. Can I say one thing I really want to play that just came out?
Go ahead.
Connor already knows this. Okay, so VTOL VR, right? Okay, VTOL VR, this amazing flight simulator. Yeah. Okay, all right. They just released a DLC. It's a twin seat fighter, which means 2 players. One player can operate the weapons. One player flies.
Awesome.
Imagine that in VR.
Yeah.
I'm only saying this because I'm trying to talk Connor into buying it so I can play with somebody.
I thought you said you only needed one copy.
Yeah. I would buy the DLC. You would have to get a copy of the game.
Oh, so you only need one copy of the DLC. I misunderstood you, so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll play.
I may have just talked Connor out of it.
You did.
Dang it.
No, I'm joking.
No, it's
maybe.
Fine.
Solid maybe.
But it looks amazing. And VTOL's one of those things where I jump in, I try to learn. There's so much to learn, though. and the sim part of it's really complicated. So it's like, and a lot of the stuff you learn and then you forget. It's like, how do you evade missiles? You got to do this and do that. And then you don't play for 6 months and you completely forget, how do you operate this weapon versus that weapon? All these little tiny things. But I would like to try and get back into it because I was having a lot of fun with it. Okay, I think actually, let's, one thing I didn't have in the news, but I did want to mention is the 3DS, the
eShop.
The eShop closing today. Yeah, which I think...
R.I.P. in peace.
Yeah, I think that's a big disappointment. And we did talk about this when the news was first announced, but I don't know. Do we have any just thoughts on this besides piracy?
Acquire
but
Nintendo games by whatever means possible.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for? Preservation.
Yes.
Preserve these games however best you can. I'm fairly certain that a lot of them are probably already preserved in one way or another.
As soon as the system is cracked, it's preserved.
Mm-hmm.
So all these games have been preserved for a very long time now. It's just the official way of normal people who don't know how to do that stuff is gone. So,
Which is too bad.
It is, yeah.
And I still don't buy that. I don't know. Is there no other way to preserve this kind of stuff?
You would. These companies would have to be forced into never changing the architecture for their consoles as it goes on.
Yeah.
So that's basically it. And from the PS4 to the PS5, architecture changed, the interface changed, everything changed. The store stayed the same though. Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah, I don't want to talk out of my depth here because I don't know the tech, but it's like...
But Nintendo's never has known what they were doing regarding that. Like, they really haven't. So until they figure that out, this will keep happening.
Yeah, and that just sucks. That sucks how much stuff is lost all the time. Yeah. And as opposed to so many other forms of entertainment and forms of art where we have so much preserved, right? We have movies from the 1920s that are like the most racist thing on earth, but those are preserved for anyone to see. You can find them on YouTube, you can find them wherever, but it's like there are games that are just going to disappear. And
I
don't want to use the phrase to be fair though, but like those things weren't preserved until way later though.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. There was just what movie was it that I was... Metropolis, the famous 1927 German film Metropolis. Mm-hmm. The Metropolis was heavily edited and it wasn't actually saved until someone found a copy of the film in like Buenos Aires or something like that. And they put it together. Well,
interesting location to find
a German
movie.
Right. It was the 20s. It was the 20s. Okay, there were still a few more years. It was the 20s. Yeah, but it was like that before they put together sort of the complete picture of it. But that's a good point. And this isn't to say that there aren't preservation issues in other forms of entertainment and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But still, games, it just feels like it's like World War I. Every other day, there's just thousands of games that just get forgotten, and we just don't know where they went.
Man, there's some good news. We keep finding them. So
yeah, that's true. Preservationists, the real heroes. Okay, are we ready for the news?
Yep.
Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server.
The UK CMA now says that the Microsoft and Activision-Blizzard merger is partially okay. This was announced tons of different outlets. Kotaku and Eurogamer is particular where we pulled from, but announced in a press release, the CMA says new evidence provisionally alleviates concerns in relation to supply of gaming consoles in the UK, end quote. Essentially, the cost of making Call of Duty exclusive to the Xbox would outweigh the benefit. Kotaku says this is in relation to player spending. That was perhaps from previous reporting.
Yeah.
We're unsure of that. This provisional ruling does not include cloud gaming. On that, the CMA says, quote, previously stated provisional view that deal raises concerns in cloud gaming unaffected, end quote. The final report on this is due April 26th. And also, in a side story, in an interview with IGN France, Redfall creative director Harvey Smith said that one of the immediate consequences of Microsoft acquiring Bethesda was the cancellation of Redfall for PS5. Microsoft denied this, telling Eurogamer, quote, "We haven't pulled any games from PlayStation. In fact, we've expanded our footprint of games that we've shipped on Sony's PlayStation since our acquisition of ZeniMax. All of the games that were available on PlayStation when we acquired ZeniMax in March of 2021 are still available on PlayStation, and we have continued to do content updates on PlayStation and PC. We have always said that future decisions on whether to distribute ZeniMax games for other consoles will be made on a case-by-case basis," end quote.
Okay, so you have two competing stories here, I think, in a way, because this is what we have said about the next Elder Scrolls, which it has been hinted that Elder Scrolls 7? Six. I always forget what the number is. I don't call them the numbers. It's Oblivion, Skyrim, Morrowind.
It's
the next Elder Scrolls. It doesn't make sense to me if Microsoft made it an exclusive to the Microsoft ecosystem, because PlayStation is going to have a bigger install base, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to get money from selling a game, it makes sense that you sell it and you don't cut yourself off from what is already a larger market, right? And that's what the CMA is saying about Call of Duty. CMA is saying that, okay, if they cut off the PlayStation market for Call of Duty, that doesn't make financial sense. Now, it doesn't make financial sense, but the video game industry is ran by ham sandwiches. So even though it doesn't make financial sense, I still don't think it's something that Microsoft wouldn't try one day. But that's just because I'm cynical. But if you make that argument for Call of Duty, then you would have to make that argument for other games, unless you get to the player spending part, right? Which is, would Microsoft be willing to take the hit from making Elder Scrolls 6 exclusive to its ecosystem, but Elder Scrolls isn't going to have the traditional long-term monetization that something like Call of Duty has, right? So does that make sense? It's risk reward, because Call of Duty is a much bigger pie.
Yeah.
So you're willing to split that pie, but Skyrim or whatever, or Hammerfall is going to be a much smaller pie.
Redfall.
So you're fine. No, but I'm speaking theoretically in the future.
Sure. Okay.
Because you could make this argument for Redfall too. In fact, it's just as good. That you would be making more money from Redfall if it was extended to the PlayStation ecosystem, right? So we see two competing theories here, I guess. Is the CMA says this, but what Microsoft is doing, it seems to be against what the CMA said they wouldn't do with Call of Duty. But at the same time, there is a logic to that. Wrap that all up. Connor, what are you going to say?
I was going to say, I think really what it should come down to is what Bethesda/ZeniMax plans are for Redfall. Are they going to treat it like Skyrim and release it on literally everything, even fucking Amazon Echoes? In which case, the game is going to have more longevity than any other game ever released because of the meme. Because it turned into a meme with Skyrim, and they just kept going with it. Yeah.
Well, the reason we connected, because okay, so there's three separate points here, right? There's the Call of Duty point, the Redfall point, and the Hammerfall point, right? There's too many falls in gaming. Fallout, fell, whatever.
Hammerfell.
Skyrim 2. So Redfall, it's going to be a bigger deal than Redfall, right? Hammerfell is going to be a bigger deal than Redfall, okay? Because Redfall is a co-op vampire shooter that I'm sure will be good, but it doesn't have the big punching power of an Elder Scrolls RPG. But you can make similar cases for them both. If they're on PlayStation, they're going to make more money. However, Microsoft decided with Redfall, we're keeping it in the Microsoft ecosystem, which seems like it's a hindrance, but maybe in Microsoft's mind, they're willing to take that hit with smaller titles and titles that don't have the big retention benefits of like a Call of Duty. The other point I want to make here is Microsoft sort of
Xbox
avoided the point
Sorry.
when they spoke to Eurogamer.
Yeah.
Because it was like, I don't know what the question was that Eurogamer asked them. Eurogamer may have said, "Did you pull that from PlayStation?" Which is a mistake on their part because you framed it in a way that Microsoft could get out of it.
Yeah.
You know, because when you say pull, it's a specific verb. No, we didn't pull it, right? But that may be omitting the truth, which is we didn't pull it because we never intended it to be on PlayStation in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though technically they're not. You know, it's an omission
It's
of the full
synonymous,
truth.
but same but different.
Yeah. So that's an interesting answer that they gave, saying that they haven't pulled any games from PlayStation. But I guess the larger point here, and what Harvey Smith, I think, indicated, was that they didn't know what they were going to do. And then word came down the pipe, no PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, okay. But it wasn't like Redfall from its very inception, unless I'm misunderstanding this, was only going to be in the Xbox ecosystem. It sounds like they didn't know, and then they got told, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
And it's not. It's also not. They started on PlayStation, and then it got canceled for PlayStation.
Yeah.
It's not that either. It's in between the two things. It's in the middle. We're complete blank slate, and then Microsoft came in and said, "Okay, but you're not going to do PlayStation." And they said, "Okay," and then that's where everything.
I mean, there's a way for Microsoft with like quote unquote exclusives to have their cake and eat it too, and that's timed exclusives, because you do get that time frame of, hey, you can only get it on our ecosystem, and then a month or two or however long they decide down the line, they're like, all right, you can play it on PlayStation now, and then they get the residual revenue from throwing it on PlayStation, have people buying it
and
there.
I have no idea how much that would be. What kind of returns they could get from.
There are a lot of people in the gaming industry, or at least who buy video games, who have that knee-jerk fear of missing out reaction. Who would initially buy it on Xbox first. There are a lot less who will wait for PlayStation version or vice versa. But yeah, and timed exclusives were a huge thing in the PS2 Xbox era, and even a little bit in the PS4. Well, when PS4 360 or PS4 Xbox One started, it was all about timed content, not timed games. So, going back to like kind of the point of like, we have, Call of Duty, Redfall, and then Call of Duty's, I'm going to bring Starfield into this, and then Skyrim. I'm kind of looking at this from Microsoft's standpoint. PlayStation obviously has way better games, way better exclusives.
Those jobs disagree with you.
They do. That sell way better. What was it? God of War already sold. Ragnarok already sold over 11 million copies.
We
never hear that. We never hear that press release with an Xbox.
Yeah.
So, I think.
What about Gary's, you motherfucker?
Call of Duty stays multi-platform. Elder Scrolls, I think, still has a chance to be multi-platform.
The mainline games definitely are.
Yes. I don't have a problem with Starfield being exclusive because Starfield is a new IP.
Okay.
Yeah. I see your point.
And a new IP will belong to Xbox.
Okay.
Because PlayStation already has enough IPs. And that's an argument that they can make. We have Starfield and they have all these, look at all this.
Yeah.
Losing all my points. This is what you have when you have an ADHD brain. What were we talking about? We were talking about Redfall, or something with Redfall. Yes.
Redfall, I assume, would then fall into that same category for you.
Redfall. The thing about Redfall is that it was never even like I understand the news of saying, hey, it was in development for PS5 too. It was never ever announced for PS5 though.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't think it was in development for PS5.
Right. Okay.
Like that was from the beginning. There was no plans for PS5. Wasn't in the discussion.
So yeah. So this information in general is irrelevant. Like in a sense. Yeah. That's like when and I can't remember how correct this was, but there is a native version of the original Gears of War on PS3.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, there was articles about it years ago and whatnot, but it did have the buttons on it and everything.
Oh, okay.
Not to say that it was being made for PS3, but I think they were tinkering around with that stuff. So just because at some point it was an idea doesn't mean that we have to take that to heart and be like, they took that away from us. And it's like, well, it was never talked about in the first place. Like when we have leaks are good and preservation's good, but when you have like the Nintendo leak, this is probably why Nintendo doesn't ever want their stuff getting out. And like all of this information about what could have been a Mario World, Super Mario World for the SNES, like came out. Fans are like, what did you take from us? Like, no, they didn't take anything from you. Like there's never yours in the first place.
There's always when something like that happens, there's always like the portion of the reaction that's like, it's like the Tucker Carlson of gamers. Yeah. It's like, that's your takeaway?
Yeah. We could have had this.
But, like that's what you're talking about? You're completely disregarding so much nuance. But anyway, yeah.
So I'm hearing these discussions, I'm thinking about those particular types of angles from a business standpoint of like what they're thinking about. And I just wanted to talk about those. That's it.
That's fine. I still don't understand. I still think it seems like it would be in Xbox's benefit to just have games come out on PlayStation. That just makes more sense to me still.
That does
because if you're not worried about the console, then, but can you view the ecosystem as, is it just sort of the same? You want them in your ecosystem. You're not worried about the blocks as much, but you still want them exclusive to your ecosystem. You could view those things as sort of similar. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's the mentality behind it. But I don't know. If you have so many hit games coming out, do you want the revenue from those? And your business right now is not predicated on big, tentpole releases like it is with Nintendo or like it is with Sony, right? Where twice a year, once a year, whatever, they have big exclusives coming out. Microsoft hasn't operated like that, and they haven't since, when was the last time a big Microsoft exclusive was like one of the biggest releases of the year? I'm probably there's probably one that wasn't that long ago, but or maybe I'm not.
I mean, it would be Halo Infinite.
Yeah. Would it be Halo Infinite?
Yeah, it would be Halo Infinite.
Okay, when was the last one that
or Forza 5? I don't know if Forza Horizon 5. I don't know if that was before or after.
Yeah,
I'm just looking back through different release, like Xbox exclusive releases,
but there's smaller titles and things like that. So they're
I'm looking for large ones, and it's Forza, Gears, Halo.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. Well, we will move on. Epic launches the Unreal editor for Fortnite. This was announced at GDC. Essentially, you can use Unreal to make stuff in Fortnite. So it's more than just like a game editor. Mm-hmm. So if you've ever Fortnite does have like a level editor, I think, kind of like Forge and Halo.
Yes.
But imagine if you had, the development suite that 343 uses to make Halo. That's kind of what's going on here. Epic Executive Vice President Sax Presson said the final goal is full interoperability between the Unreal Engine and then UEFN, which is Unreal Editor for Fortnite. And what that means is that you can take things from the Fortnite version of Unreal, you can transplant them into the normal Unreal Engine, right? Which at that point means you're essentially developing for the Unreal Engine. The name of the Unreal Engine Fortnite economy is Creator Economy 2.0, and Epic says it will share 40% of Fortnite's net revenue to developers using UEFN by way of engagement payouts. Reading from a blog post, quote, engagement payouts proportionally distribute 40% of the net revenue from Fortnite's item shop and most real money Fortnite purchases to all island publishers on a monthly basis. Payouts are based on what players enjoy in Fortnite and account for things like island popularity, engagement, and attracting new players. Engagement payout funds are designed to reward island creators who published content in Fortnite, end quote. So what do we have?
Roblox.
So to me, that sounded like Roblox. It may be a little more equitable or what's the word I'm looking for? Money good. Profitable. There we go.
Money good. Fire bad.
Equitable and profitable. Profitable was the word I'm looking for. This still, because you don't have sort of, because Roblox has that like the Robux thing, so there's like the stratification or whatever. But this seems like it's just cold hard cash. But again, with the economy being based around engagement, which is one of the worst words the tech industry has invented over the past 5 years, 10 years, whatever, 15 years. It's really one of the most disgusting words in the English language at this point.
The tech industry has invented. Flat out.
Just invented. That means certain types of experiences have to be made certain ways if you want to take advantage of that economy, right?
Yeah.
So something like Scorn couldn't be made in Fortnite because Scorn's not going to have the same kind of engagement and retention as other bullshit that has certain gameplay loops and whatever. And that doesn't mean that stuff's bad, but there are certain priorities that if you want to make a large portion of this 40% and they're going to be paying it out based on those attributes, that's what you're going to have to develop around, right? Which to me sucks. Because this is a big deal, but if you're somebody who's young and who's getting into game development, this may be a good way to start. I don't know, but it just sucks that it's
going to teach them a lot about like how to make it in the games industry, because if they're like basing it off of engagement, the most popular ones are going to be chasing popular trends in the game. So it's just, if you're going to get into game industry, learn how to chase those trends.
And it sucks
make a battle royale game when battle royale games are getting popular. Make cowboy game when cowboy games are getting popular.
Which will never happen.
Yeah, never. No one wants single player cowboy games.
And that sucks. I think that sucks that's an environment where so many like young developers are fostered, right? Yeah. And we talk about Roblox. Roblox is the same way, where there's all these young kids who have found a passion in game development, but they're doing it in an environment where it exploits them. And it's like, damn it, don't you wish that they got those skills editing Unity or the Unreal Engine, right? Which are probably more complicated, but at least in those environments, they can sell their games on Steam and Epic and GOG and whatever, right? So you're not trapped in this environment where you have to figure out how to break out of it or how to be successful based on the parameters set by those companies. And this one seems a little bit more... And I'm partially sympathetic to Tim Sweeney. Partially. I think he's mostly a dweeb, and really nothing. He's fine. Yeah, got him. No. But I the only reason I say that is because I think his ideas come from a real place. This is something he wants. When executives talk about accessibility, when they talk about, open spaces, whatever, no walled gardens, I think Tim Sweeney actually means it. That may be naive, but with how Epic has operated, their 88-12 split, I think it's something that he actually means. So, yeah. Anything you guys would like to say about this?
I don't have much to say about it. I've seen some of the stuff that comes out of it. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, and I hopped into it, and it is just the Unreal editor, and you can mess around with it. I don't know how to do anything, but... I loaded a level and then put a couple spawn points in. And one little soldier guy spawned in. So 10 out of 10 gave me the year. Okay. Okay, we got one more story, and then we'll get to tidbits. This one is not great. So allegations of sexism, drugging arose during GDC. I guess the allegations came out after GDC. Reports surfaced on Twitter. One from Guy Blomberg, who is the VR of Stride PR, said, quote, "We've been informed of multiple folks that were roofied last night in San Francisco, most probably at the karaoke event we hosted. I'm so very sorry they had to go through such a horrifying experience. It's absolutely not their fault, and we were already in the process of tracking down the fucking scumbag who did this. I'm furious this not only happened, but that it tends to happen so frequently. that it's become almost commonplace. It's not fucking okay or acceptable. And quote, this happened at a karaoke party that was off-site from GDC, but it was still associated with GDC because it was this PR, this PR company holding this this event. Lena Van Deventer, who's the creative producer and writer of Dead Static Drive, said women were belittled, hit on, and had their drinks spiked. She also said 2 women were lured into a room by a man in a position of power for a pitch, like to pitch a game, and then were assaulted. And I believe those events, if I understand correctly, did happen like where GDC was actually physically happening, as opposed to, not that there's a difference or anything, but just to get the facts correct here,
right.
as opposed to like offsite events hosted by whatever PR companies and stuff. I don't have a whole lot to say, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You'd think after like so much has happened, I don't know.
Yeah.
If you were the type of person to do this stuff, after everything that has happened, when we have so many outlets now that are just ready to pounce and report these things, and people are so much more willing, and it's a good thing to talk about these things on social media and stuff. I don't know why you would do it, but then again, I'm not somebody that would do this stuff. So if you are, you're operating under a logic that is not only immoral, but one that I think most people can't necessarily get a grip on. So
no, it's real more than disappointing, because after E3, for a lot of the publications in the US, and I'm sure a good amount around the world, GDC was the next best place to network and to meet with people, to talk about your games and talk about this thing that we all love, and to be taken advantage of. Even as, I mean, obviously none of this is a joke, but I'm sure some of it came. Well, no, hold on. I heard this happened and I didn't know it was at GDC, and then I found out it was at GDC. But it happened to so many people, I was wondering if it was somebody who thought it would be funny to like just throw a bunch of stuff into people's drinks willy-nilly.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I'm not saying this is a joke, but I'm wondering if somebody tried to do it as a joke.
I can see.
But it doesn't matter, because at the end of everything, it's disgusting. So,
and just the idea that it happened at at such a big event,
right?
And it's such an obvious thing that's horrible to do. It just doesn't make. It doesn't make. No,
it doesn't make sense, and especially with if these after get-togethers, if these get-togethers are as big as they always seem to be, I have no doubts that they'll find whoever did this, or they'll get some eyes on them or word on it.
Yeah,
wherever they are.
Okay, are we ready for tidbits?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. What if I told you, in this world, there are bits and there are tids, and Richard is the only man who can put them together into tidbits?
I got a good amount today.
Hey,
I think some I'll make quick, some I won't. But Atari has entered an agreement to purchase Night Dive Studios. Night Dive Studios is a developer who essentially ports older titles to modern systems with great success. They've done Doom 64, System Shock, Shadow Man, Turok, and a bunch of others. I think they've done over like 100 games. The acquisition will complete next month and is said to be worth up to $20 million. As a bonus, Albert Marin, one of the 2 creators of the extremely well-received Resident Evil 4 HD project, has been hired by Night Dive Studios. The Resident Evil 4 HD project has had over 13,000 hours put into it, which essentially overhauls like the entire original game, their visuals and their textures into a package that most people believe is like the definitive Resident Evil 4 version. So congratulations to him, and congratulations to Night Dive. I hope they find success with Atari. Atari's weird because
yes, they are,
because they're not Atari anymore. They haven't been in years. That name is just owned by somebody.
Yeah.
So
there are a lot of companies like that nowadays.
Yeah.
Star Trek. Just kidding.
Wow. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is one of their most well-known comics called The Last Ronin is being adapted into a video game. This was confirmed by Paramount's Global Senior Vice President for Games, Doug Rosen. However, the weird thing is there's no developer, there's no platform, there's no release date. It's in early production right now, but they've said to have approached it in a way that God of War 2018 approached their storytelling. They want to make a more intimate type of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, because Last Ronin, as the name suggests, only one of them is left, and so it's kind of their adventures and what they're doing. So,
and I guess Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles sort of grittier takes on that have existed for a long time.
They were originally very gritty.
Yeah, which I did not know, because
Yeah.
I'm not a big TMNT fan.
Yeah,
So
that's fine. Yeah, no, they started gritty, and then toys.
sure.
Toys happened.
Yeah.
Children happened. Cheat codes have been discovered in Gran Turismo 4 almost 20 years later. Cheat codes are, of course, discovered in that game, blah, blah, blah. In order for the cheats to work, you must have had over 365 game days logged into the title. So not real time, just inside of the game. Game days 365.
Wow,
Afterwards,
okay.
you can enter cheats into the menu of the game. It kind of looks like a map, so you have to like input some buttons. But with that, you can give yourself 10 million credits. You can pass any license exam. You can earn gold rankings in any
Nice.
race. You can kind of do what you want. It's really awesome.
Nice.
We were talking about preservation earlier, and some neat preservation news. But somebody, Tim Stamper on Twitter, has acquired the dev cart for 12 Tales Conquer 64, which was the original game and the original working title for Conker's Bad Fur Day before it turned into Conker's Bad Fur Day. So before it was all about this naughty squirrel drinking and shooting up guys on Normandy Beach. It was a standard platformer with a cute little squirrel. So we'll wait a couple days and see what happens with that.
Okay.
WB's Multiverse is shutting down, and its open beta is ending June 24th, I believe, and it will be down until next year. Problem is the game has been out for almost a year now.
Yeah, kind of strange.
Lots of money has been put in by a lot of people. They still will have access to that stuff when the full game comes out next year. But as of January 24th, they're going to go completely silent until next year.
That's a weird thing to happen.
It is a very weird thing to happen. A lot of people are angry.
Do we have a reason why they can't just leave the current build up?
So the build,
Talking out of my depth, I know.
No,
but-
that's all right. So the online will be shut off.
Oh, okay.
Players can still access versus and like training. So like local play and just training, but they
Okay.
can't play online.
Oh,
They
that
shut
makes
it.
more sense. Okay. Still kind of weird. but-
Still a little bit weird. And then last one, not really much of a tidbit, but somebody asked Matt Piscatell, they're like, hey, where are the MPDs? And Matt went, what are MPDs?
No!
He was joking. I'm sure they'll be around at some point. But
Oh, we need Matty Ice
Yeah,
on the show next
yeah.
week. Baseball season's starting up too.
yeah,
So
I haven't seen him talking about it, but Twitter's fucking weird right now, man.
yeah,
Baseball starts in 3 days.
baseball starts.
Does
in 3
it?
days.
Yeah.
Let's
The
go
hell?
Yankees. Yep, it's coming up.
Ow.
Okay.
I got a couple.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Microsoft is ending the $1 Xbox Game Pass offer after so many years of running it,
So many years of taking advantage of it.
so many years of taking advantage of it. They're finally ending it. It's a sad day for humanity.
Yeah, they're gonna do something different, and we all saw this coming, right? We all said that
we knew
that
it wasn't going to last.
Game Pass is there's no way it's sustainable. They're hemorrhaging money, but they're at Microsoft, so they can take it. But at some point, there's
They have
gonna
to recoup a little bit of it.
They're-
And
yeah,
I mean, honestly, I think everyone kind of foresaw that it wasn't going to be $1 forever. It was eventually going to go up to a standard price. It was a honeypot to get people sucked into it.
sure, yep.
Uh,
Just like in the interview,
yeah.
I'm not honeypotting you, and she's not honeypotting you. I'm not honey dicking him. Sorry.
Another one, Counter-Strike, is getting a sequel
Counter-Strike 2,
after
baby.
what, 12 years? 11, 12
Counter-Strike
years?
Go, yeah, I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Finally getting a
This is
sequel.
weird. Yeah.
So another game for people to get salty
Is this
over.
okay? It's funny because is this the 4th version of Counter-Strike?
I think so.
is Counter-Strike Source, is that technically different from the first Counter-Strike, or was that just remade in the Source engine?
I think it's remade on Source engine.
So, because if that's true, then wouldn't this be the third Counter-Strike?
Yeah. No, it's the second.
But it's counted as Counter-Strike 2. Anyway,
you will never get a third Valve game, Tyler. Only 2s.
And this is one of the biggest releases of the year, and I feel bad because, like, I'm not, like... I know there's a billion people out there who have just lost the next 4 months because all they're going to be doing is playing however it's different. Once it comes out, it hasn't released yet, right?
No, it hasn't released.
It's like it's in
it's
beta
very soon
or
now,
something.
very soon.
Yeah, but like I'm not going to be able to because I just don't care for that kind of online shooter. It's fine. Not a fan.
Do you go ahead?
Oh,
sorry, I didn't know you had
one more tidbit, but go ahead.
No, this is going to be a full blown new story.
Okay. Final tidbit from me. If you haven't done your taxes yet, don't worry. There's a dating sim that will help you file your taxes.
Don't give your social security number to that thing. Please.
For real, like who thought that was a good idea?
I think it's cute. I think that idea is cute.
Yeah,
it's really cute.
I trust the little
but unless they have actually partnered with like
the IRS
or like a federal like institution of some sort, I'm not gonna. I'll watch somebody else play it.
When I saw this, the first thing that popped into my mind was that I'm trying to remember what it's from, but the audio clip of the guy going, "I don't care who the IRS sends. I'm not filing my taxes."
It's really cool because the game is like I think like $10, but you can buy like the collector's edition, and it comes with like a body pillow of your tax preparer, and like it comes with a bunch of like files and stuff like that.
Hell yeah!
Stephen Totillo, like 6 hours ago, did you see he has a new story up?
No, I did not.
11 members of Congress have pressed Biden to take action over the Sony's alleged interference with Microsoft's efforts in Japan. But the assertion is that a 2019 U.S.-Japan trade deal calls for non-discriminatory treatment of digital products by both countries, which means there could be actual real trade issue here.
Jesus
I didn't. I saw it. We had the stories that I want to add another big story. You're making me look bad, Richard.
No,
it's fine. It's fine. Throw me on the bus.
No. I mean, 6 hours ago we prepared this
plenty
stuff.
Of time.
No, we prepared this stuff like up until the day before of the podcast.
No, there was something in here I did want to read though.
Yeah.
Because hold on, let me. Connor, do a sounder while I try to find this real quick.
We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money.
Another sounder. Give me some Don LaGreca. Give me some
Xbox. Filthy human piece of garbage.
I can't find. Okay, so I can't find this.
It just works.
I'm just gonna have to paraphrase. High-end console market. Okay, so this is from Carol Miller, who is a Republican from West Virginia, and Mike Carey, who is a Republican from Ohio, both members of the House. They said, "Today we write to bring to your attention the imbalanced Japanese video game market, which we are concerned may be a result of discriminatory trade practice that could violate the spirit of the U.S.-Japan trade agreement." The Republican letter, this is Stephen Totillo, Axios. The Republican letter alleges that Sony PlayStation has 98% of the high-end console market in Japan, signs deals designed to keep hit Japanese games from Microsoft's Xbox, and says such moves may violate Japan's antitrust laws. Okay, so I butchered a lot of that, but the point is, it says PlayStation has 98% of the high-end console market in Japan. Whoa, isn't that weird? 98%? Isn't there like another big company in Japan that is really famous for making video games and stuff like that?
No.
Unless you don't count their consoles as high end, which is such a stupid thing not to include because that is so disingenuous. Nobody who is into video games looks at the Switch. Yes, of course, the Switch is technologically inferior, but nobody looks at it and says it's not on a competitive, it's not competing with Sony and Microsoft. Nintendo is in their own world, we understand that, but to like shove it to the side because it's not high end, and it annoys me. And listen, I hate Nintendo. I hate every video game company. They should all go to jail, but it's disingenuous, and it annoys me because clearly nobody actually thinks like this. And so they may be right. Again, I hate Sony too, so if Sony's doing anti-competitive shit anywhere, they should be, the company should be regulated for it. But That's a dumb argument from dumb legislators about video games.
It's also dumb because they don't take into the fact that that the Japanese buy Japanese products. that is also the thing. Like it's just Microsoft just never got a hold over there because it's just not interesting.
Yeah.
For them. So.
Yep. And the Xbox isn't as old as PlayStation. Almost, but not quite.
Yeah.
But and again, I don't want to get into the nuances of the trade deal because it may, and that's fine. Like I'm not against or for Sony. I'm for companies not having monopolies. So I don't know, but it's just a disingenuous argument that's dumb. Because yes, technically the Switch is technologically superior, but nobody considers it like this third-party thing that isn't taken seriously compared to Sony and Microsoft. Yeah. That's because it's not true. Anyway, okay. So there, we did cover that story. I butchered the reading of it. Whatever. Thank you, Stephen Totila.
Do it live.
You a real one.
Yeah, we did that.
we did it live.
We did do that one live. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Gaming Discourse. Go to our YouTube channel, YouTube/Gaming Discourse, Patreon.com/The Gaming Discourse. New video out soon. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.